And live makes me feel so lively. Ask. Um, Today I'd like to talk about something that I actually thought of last night, and I think uh, I think this topic actually a lot of people can relate to, right from their earliest childhood memory, right up until present day. Okay, and that's basically uh, the fear of the unknown. Now, what I mean by that is basically being afraid of something that not only is not known, but stuff that we don't understand. Okay. And I can give you one very good example right now because I experienced it myself as a kid. Okay. You've heard your parents say, especially if you've been bad and that, and your parents said to me, "Oh, you better be careful or the boogeyman will get you." Well, I've heard that so many times as a kid, I thought, uh, exactly what does that mean? Like, what is the boogeyman? Like, to me, it sounds kind of dorky, but I never understood what that meant. So just like I asked my guide what that meant, and they said, "Well, it sounds like something that's from folklore, from different, I guess, from different countries or whatever. But it's basically, it's um, uh, thought of folklore that people have passed to people over the generations and stuff." And I thought, okay, well, it sounds like it's mythological, like it doesn't exist. So I Googled it, and sure enough, and that it's a mythological character that has really no physical traits. Although the parents make it sound like it could either be a bad man or a bad woman, but even then, to me, it's still I can't wrap my head around it, and that, and so sure enough, um, in one sense, uh, the parents would say, you better behave, stop being bad, or the boogeyman will get you," and that. Well, in some cases, some people have actually personified the boogeyman to the devil, and that. Um, and so that if you scare the kid with the boogeyman story, what you basically do is you're trying to scare the crap out of your kid to make him better. Well, in my opinion, you don't threaten a kid with something that's a personification of evil or of the devil. Like, come on, people. Like, to me that makes no sense. Sure, for some really bad kids it might work, but like, to me, I just don't get it. Sure, for some parents it might have worked to say, okay, if you kids don't stop misbehaving, the boogeyman will get you. Sure, it might have worked now, but further on down the road, what if your child decides to research that character, the boogeyman, find out the boogeyman never existed? Okay, well, where is the honesty there? That's my question. You know, why would you warn or threaten a child with a character that never existed? You know, like, uh, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around that. And that, you know, like, sure, it might work for some kids, but for me, I thought that, like, when I heard the boogeyman for the very first time, I thought she said the booger man. And I thought, yuck. It kind of grossed me out. That's the reason why it worked, because I didn't understand it. And a lot of kids don't understand it. They just think, see, according to the kid, it's a personification of something bad, something that could harm the kid. Okay, just like Like I didn't totally understand. But I thought, okay, whatever. I don't want to see this, whatever you're talking about. Sure, no problem. And that, but that's just one idea of stuff that you don't understand. Okay, and now experiences from the spirit world can have the exact same effect. Okay, like as I've said in previous videos, that the understanding we have of the spirit world of heaven down here, we only understand about maybe 5%. Okay, of what the spirit world is all about. Okay, because there's stuff about the spirit world that there's no way we can wrap our head around it, because it's stuff that not only we don't understand, but it's completely unknown to us. That's why when I say that when a person is on the earth plane here, and that they only see the shorter picture, where in the spirit world we see the bigger picture. Okay, well basically what that means, and that is that we have a better understanding. Okay, it's not so unknown anymore. Okay, we understand how things are done up there. Okay, once we get up there, we're down here, and that we have very little understanding. Okay, basically the only thing that we really understand is what we learned in the Bible, what we've learned from our spirit guides, from our gatekeepers, from the angelic love or the archangels that give us advice, give us warning, whatever. Okay, that's our perception of our understanding. Okay, sure, we can research the spirit world until our eyes pop out. We'll only understand just a small bit of it. Okay, but a lot of it, and that is unknown to us, and because people don't understand something, whether it's from the spirit world, even from the earth plane, and that if there's something that we don't understand or is completely unknown to us, okay, and we have an experience with it, naturally it's going to scare us, because one, we don't understand what we're experiencing, and we are fearful of it because we don't know what it can do to us. And 9 times out of 10 it won't do it. It's it might feel like it's something terrifying that could do us harm, but yet in the long term run, it's actually an education. Okay, so basically, especially coming from the spirit world, and that I know some people that they're very hesitant to learn something from the spirit world, or they think, no, I'm not into that kind of stuff. The reason why they're reacting that way is because they don't understand it. Okay, it's totally unknown to them. Okay, but once they've learned a little bit from the higher side of life, and that they think, hey, there's nothing to be scared of at all, and basically it's a learning experience for you, and that you get a taste of what it's like up there, like learning about angels, learning about God, learning about Jesus, learning about how heaven works. Like for one thing, the part that gets to me every time is down here we're governed by time, right? Up there is no time. Down here we go against the laws of physics when it comes to doing just about anything. Okay, like traveling. Okay, it takes time to get point A to point B, right? Up there, all they have to do is merely think of a location and they're there in less than a minute. To me, that defies the laws of physics. Okay, that's something about the spirit world that we don't understand, is how they can travel like that, how they can be in such love and such harmony and not have to worry about seasons, not have to worry about time. And that, in fact, when they're up there, and that they forget about seasons, they forget about time. How can that be? That's something that we don't understand. Once we do that there, then we'll have a better understanding. But while we're down here, we're very limited. And for some people, that can be kind of a scary thing because they think, why are we limited and they're not? I don't understand that. And that I think it has something to do with that we're learning down here before we go up there. So that way we're kind of prepared. So when we do cross over from this life to the next, that we're a little bit more prepared, we're a little more equipped. Like it isn't going to be a giant surprise, okay, that we'll meet our loved ones, we'll meet our friends, okay, and even how that works, is still relatively unknown to us. But for people that don't understand that stuff and that, like that, well, I'll give you another good example. People are afraid to die. Of course, naturally, anybody's afraid to die. Why are you afraid to die? Okay, is because when you leave your physical, what happens after that? That's another fear of the unknown. But we've been given a small insight into what to expect. Like when we leave the physical, we're escorted by the angelic love or by relative, and then to the heavenly realms. Okay? And once we get out there, the fear factor is gone. But down here, we're not sure. Okay? So that's the reason why people are so afraid to die, because they don't know what comes next. Okay? It's the unknown. That's the reason why that people need to learn what happens to a person when they pass, when they leave the physical. What happens next? That is one of the biggest fears that I've encountered from different people. Like some people are petrified to die because they don't understand what happens next. They don't know what happens next. Okay, but if they get an insight of what happens, depending on their religions and their belief system, and that once they have an idea of what happens, you leave the physical, you go to be with God, you go to be in heaven, and that there's nothing fearful about that. See, because we don't understand all what goes on, we just have a taste of it, and that for people that really believe that when you leave the physical, you go to heaven, you go to the higher side of life, okay, that kind of takes the fear factor down, okay, it makes you feel okay, good. There's nothing. You've heard people say there's nothing to be afraid of. True. The reason why people are afraid is because they don't know, they don't understand it, and that. But once you have an idea of what to expect, like getting indigestion. Now, once you get an idea of what happens when you leave the physical, okay, and like I've seen people once they come out of the physical, they say, "Oh, that wasn't so bad. What comes next?" And I've guided them on, or someone else has guided them on, and they think, "Oh, good, nothing to be afraid of. This feels good. Let's go to heaven." And there's no fear factor. And then it's only when you're afraid just before you pass, before you leave the physical, it's that fear factor of the unknown that gets to a lot of people. And also, people also are afraid to pass because they're afraid of being judged. Well, you see, the thing is, you know how our justice systems works down here on the earth plane. Okay, well, the justice system that they have up in heaven is completely different. Okay, they have compassionate hearts, from what I've learned. Down here, like some people would say that the justice system is corrupt, which in some cases I agree. Up there, it's not. And they don't judge you. You judge yourself. But you see, people don't understand that. They think, when they pass, they think, "Oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to be judged." They're afraid. And that, but once they leave the physical, they realize, hey, there's no one around here judging me. And then I end up judging myself. And that, so basically, like I said, there's so many things that we don't understand about the spirit world, and even when it comes to stuff down here, when it comes to all these traditions and folklores and fairy tales and stuff like that, things that we hear about, we don't know about, or we don't understand. Okay, some people can be very afraid of that, but once it's explained to them, and that in a way that they understand it, just like heaven, and that I think, hey, that's not so scary once you've learned more about what's scaring you. So for those who have a fear of the unknown, a fear of being judged, a fear of whatever, I would highly recommend for you to do a little bit of research into what it is that you're afraid of. And if you're not sure, ask someone, ask a medium, ask a psychic, ask someone that is very knowledgeable in this area, and say, okay, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of this, and I'm afraid of this. Most of all, I'm afraid of dying. Can you explain some of this stuff for me so that I'm not so scared? And that people are out there to answer questions, and so that it's not so fearful. Because you've heard, I don't know if you've ever heard this term, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So basically, what you're afraid of, okay, that's what you're fearing, if that makes any sense. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. But once you bypass that fear, and that things start to make a little more sense. Sure, we're not going to get the full picture down here, but at least you'll get a bit of an education. You won't be so fearful. You won't be so terrified, and like myself, when I was a kid and I heard about the boogeyman, I thought they said booger man, and I thought, no, thanks. Don't want any of that crap. To find out it doesn't even exist, And oh yeah, and when it comes to, I've got this on many investigations and streams and stuff, and I've even heard people on most haunted say they're afraid of ghosts, and I figured, well, if you learn more about ghosts, if you learn more about spirits and the way they are, you won't be so afraid. You see, the reason why some people are so fearful of ghosts is because they don't understand them, just like spirit people. The reason why that you're so afraid of them is because you don't understand who they are, what they can do, what they can't do, and that. But once you learn more about that, and that less afraid, I guarantee you that once you learn more about ghosts and spirits, now you're not so afraid of them. I can almost guarantee that fear will turn into curiosity, and you'll want to learn more about them, and it's just a question of being careful. Like don't walk into a building and go up to a ghost. He says, "I'm scared of you, ghost. If you're real, smack me." People like that, I swear, they deserve to be slapped. But if you approach them with respect, and they'll probably just make, lights go on and off, doors slam, and that because they don't want to talk to you. Respect that. Okay. See, all they're trying to do is, if you're afraid of a ghost or a spirit, making noises, slamming doors, whatever, and that's something else that you're fearful, is because you don't know who's doing it or why. Well, chances are they're trying to tell you, leave. I don't want to talk to you. That's usually the reason why. Or they're just basically saying, hey, we're here. See, don't forget, spirit people cannot acknowledge the same way we can. Okay, we go, hey, how are you? They can't do that anymore. They have to make noises. And that scares people. Okay, that's another fear of the unknown. And but once you've learned how and why spirit people make noises the way they do, it's either telling you to leave or telling you, hey, we're here. And see, some spirit people, they actually refuse to respond because they know it's going to scare you. That's another fear of the unknown, is not knowing how they're going to respond. But once you get an idea as to why they do it, okay, then it's not so scary. And by the way, it's never a good idea to go into a location on your own. That's a big no-no. Always go in with one other person. Okay, so if something happens to you, the other person can help you. Okay, one key rule for investigators, and that never ever go into a location on your own for safety reasons. Especially if a ghost scares the crap out of you and you end up running and you run into a wall. Well, your friend will tell you, hey, don't go near the wall, go near the door. Use some common sense. I know you're scared. Let's get out of here, but let's get out of here safely. But anyway, people, I've got a group that's called The Unknown and the Unexplained and the Unknown, or something like that. It's one of my older groups. I'll put a link in the description below for that group, but I highly recommend for you to join the group. And if you have had any experiences when it comes to fears or of whatever, especially the paranormal or spiritualism or whatever, and that, I highly recommend you to join the group and share your experiences with the group and that. Because sometimes talking it out helps big time. Instead of keeping it all bottled in, which a lot of people do, and they're nervous wrecks. And that by sharing your experiences, and that there might be other people in the same boat as you. They'd be amazed how much they can learn. You can learn. I can learn, right? So, anyway, I see there's been one or two people popping in. That's fine, and I'll be posting this in that group I was talking about, as well as a few other groups, and I also have this will be part of the channel, okay? And like I said, if you're afraid of something, don't be embarrassed. Everybody's got a fear of something, the thing, the fear of the unknown. Well, many people have experienced it, and it's a part of being human. Is you're fearful of something you don't understand until you get a little bit of understanding of it. Then you're not so fearful. You're more curious. Okay, because it's your natural defenses saying, "Whoa, that's not. I don't understand this." But once you do understand it, like I said, it's a good idea to jump into something you don't understand. Like, I think I understand it. Let's jump in. That's not using common sense. And that you need to learn as much as you can about whatever it is that's scaring you, or whatever it is you don't know. And that learn more about it. And then when you feel confident that you know enough about it, then pursue it, then investigate it, and then research it. Okay? That's the best advice I can give you. Okay. But like I said, someone once said that, inquiring is education, and education is strength. And try to keep that in mind. So anyway, people, thanks a lot for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Like I said, I'll have that link in the group. That link to the group in the description below. Blah. Okay, so stay healthy, happy, stay safe, and most of all, my dear friends, love and light to all.